So this is a quick announcement to say that tonight at 8 p.m. Mountain Time, I'm going to be on my friend's live stream because for that Twitter poll I had you guys do, most of you wanted me to do a live stream. So for this live stream, we're going to be playing Speedrunners Town of Salem and also having a late night talk and some other games. So I hope you can come. If so, the link will be in the description, and I hope I'll see you there. Hey guys, it's Bella. So today's video is going to be a bit of a talking video, a bit of a story time video. I watch a lot of story times and I really like them, and since it's my birthday I'm going to be making one for you. It's like a compilation of different stories that just prove how awkward of a person I am, plus how strange the world can be sometimes. So my house, it has a long driveway, it's in kind of the middle of nowhere, it's the first house on the neighborhood. And I pull up one day after I've come home from school, and I see that the postman is just sitting in my driveway. I look in the cabbie part of the postman truck, and I don't see him there, so I look up at my doorstep, and I see that there's already 2 packages just like sitting on my porch. So I'm like, okay, where is he? I'm like just sitting there in my car, idling, looking around like, is he like around his truck? No, he's not. Is he in front? No. Is he on the like hiding somewhere? No, he's not. Like, he's not. What if he's like robbing my house? Did I lock my house? Is he like around back, like taking stuff? Is he in my garage? So I'm sitting there for like 10 minutes, freaking out because I'm like, oh my god, he's robbing me. And then I look over to the postman. Also, here's a picture of one, like, it's a proof of it actually happened, because, like, pics or it didn't happen. And I see the back part roll up slowly, and the postman is in, like, a crouching position. He gets out of the crouching position and gets out. He looks very surprised to see me. He zips up his pants, and he walks around really briskly to the front, and like just drives away like as fast as he can. He's like rolling out of my driveway, like turning left and going out and like driving down the highway. So you guys can put 2 and 2 together with that story. I was going to this party at my friend's house, and she lives maybe like 5 or like 6 minutes from my house. So it was an easy drive, except for the fact that it was 12 degrees and we had just gotten a massive snowfall of like 2 feet, and there was 2 feet of snow everywhere, so it was a little bit hard to get my car out of the driveway, but the roads were clear, so it was fine, everything was fine. And this was a party that was going to have alcohol, so I wasn't going to be drinking because I would have to drive home. I live in basically the middle of nowhere. The houses are like an acre or more apart. They're like big houses, it's in the middle of nowhere, there's no sidewalks. And my friend, she lives just a little bit away from me, but she lives in a more suburban, happy homes area of the city. I parked on the side of the road, and I didn't park in her driveway or in her garage. I just parked like on the street. When I looked over, I saw this indent in the snow, so it was kind of like there was a pile over here and a pile over here, and then there was like an indent. So my common sense went, oh, that's a sidewalk. So I get out of my car, and I have all my things in my hand. I've got like Christmas crackers, I've got my phone, I've got my extra jacket, I've got my Cards Against Humanity deck that I assume we'll be playing, because I brought it and everyone loves that game. And I go to walk over to the indent, and it's a ditch, and I fall in the ditch, like all the way up to my waist in snow, and I cannot for the life of me get out, and I've dropped most of my things. Like my jacket is wet now because of all the snow. My pants are like soaked because the snow has gotten in them, and I am shaking because like it's like 12 degrees outside, you know, like it's cold and there's snow and I'm buried in it. And I go to put my hands down on the ground, like I've set my stuff on the ground. My iPhone was already broken, so I was like, whatever, I'll just put it in the snow. Like, then it got water damage, obviously, but it was already like a cracked screen. So I put it down, and I go to like push up in the snow to like push myself out and try to get out. And there's a broken bottle in the ditch, and I cut my hands on it. And then I have to call my friend. She comes out of her house, and She's like laughing at me because I'm in the ditch and it's dark and I'm like buried in snow. Her dad has to come and pull me out of it. And that's not even the worst part. So my hands are bleeding, you know. I go inside her house where her friends are already there. And I see across the room that there's this guy that I knew in high school when I was like a freshman in high school. And I was friends with him, but I got mad at him for something stupid and then we weren't friends. So I see him and he's there with his cousin. And those are the only other people there. So I've got wet pants in front of this guy who just like hates my guts and his cousin who hates my guts. And I have to try to be social and not be awkward because my friend needed me to come because it was mostly going to be guys there and her parents wouldn't let her have a party if like one of her friends who was a girl came. So like I couldn't just like turn and leave all dramatically. I sat down and I pull out my Cards Against Humanity deck. I'm like, okay, we're going to play this. So we start to play it and the guy who we aren't friends, his cousin wants to like write in the Cards Against Humanity, there's a bunch of blank cards. She wants to like write in her own answer, but she doesn't have a pen. So I'm like, I pull out my bloody hands and I'm like, you can just use my blood. Oh God, just think about how awkward that is. She didn't laugh. No one laughed. No one laughed. For fall break, my family and I, we went up to the hot springs. There's like a few hot springs where I live. There's one that's like kind of a hike. We went on the one that's kind of a hike up to, it's like on top of a mountain, so we had to climb the mountain first. Every time we go, either if it's with my mom or if it's with my dad, I always find that something sexual goes down. First time I went there with my dad, these people, they were up there shooting a porno. And then the other times there's always like some naked old guy in there or some like frisky couple in the hot springs. Like, come on, this is supposed to be a family place. But this time it was fall break, so there was like a Boy Scout troop going up there, there was a Girl Scout troop going up there, all these parents with all their flocks of children were going up there, so I'm like, oh, it's gonna be okay for once, you know? But no. I sit on this massive rock. To the left, there's the hot spring, so there's like the cove of hot spring, and then to the right of the rock, there's like a slight drop, and then there's like a river. I sit on the edge of the rock, all the way to the right, and I put my feet in for a good like 20 minutes, and then this couple with like a flock of small children, they come in and they sit in the hot spring, and the couple is sitting on the rock, and they are blocking my exit to land back to the trail. So I'm like, all right, whatever. Like, my shoes are on the other side of this couple here on the rock. The couple's like blocking my way to my shoes and the trail. River, like my only other escape is like through the river, and there's sharp rocks in there, and there's a broken glass bottle. There's broken glass in the river. And guess what the couple does? They decide to just sit there. And it starts to rain, and it's like 5 p.m., so it's going to be dark, and walking down the mountain from the hot springs while you're already wet, getting more wet, sucks. Also, when it's dark, you gotta like leave. So my family's like, come on, brother, we gotta go, it's raining, it's pouring, the old man is snoring. The couple, I'm like, hey, can you please move? Like, I need to go. Excuse me, ma'am and sir and children, will you please move so I can get around you? But they are just ignoring me. Like, they're flat out ignoring me. And I knew they weren't deaf because they were talking to each other. They were having a conversation. They were talking to the kids were talking to them. Like, they were just ignoring me. And they were like packing things into a bag and like putting stuff on their children, but they were doing it very slowly. And they were like, oh, it's raining, we gotta go. And I'm like, well, can you move? Like, I wasn't rude to them. I kept being like, please, can I get around you? And when I'm trying to get around them, like the mom would like scooch back so I couldn't get out. And so I had to get my brother to take my shoes, go around to the other side, and there's like a wide gap. Like there's the rock and then there's the shoreline, but the shoreline is kind of like back more than the rock. He basically like flings my shoes towards me. One of them lands in the river, so I have to like put one on, and then I have to jump from the rock to the shoreline. And I end up cutting the side of my foot on a piece of broken glass and having to hop to the other shoe. And the couple, they didn't even care. They were just like talking to themselves, and I was like, thank you, really loudly, and they didn't even care. They didn't even look at me. They didn't even look at me, guys. This other guy who I had a crush on, who was friends with a few of my other friends, who was really good looking, kind of shorter than me, but I mean, I'm 5'8", so you can't have them all. We go out to, I think it was lunch. We went to IHOP, and I was like, oh, it's going so well, we're going on a date, you know? Like, it seemed like he liked me, and we talked on Skype, like, all the time. Usually if you talk to a guy from like 6 p.m. to like 3 a.m. in the morning on a school night, that means he likes you, but apparently not in this guy's case. Also, it was consecutively, it was like over a few weeks that we were doing this Skyping thing. Nothing inappropriate, just like talking about deeper meanings and things. The last day of school, no one really goes, especially if you're a senior, because there's no roll taken, there's no classes, you just go and you get your yearbook, and then you have like all your friends sign it like all day. So I was like, there's no way I'm gonna go to this, because I just want to sleep in. But he was gonna go, and we had plans to go to a matinee movie. We wanted to go see Mad Max, which I still haven't seen because of this bad experience, and I don't think I ever will see it. I was gonna drive to school because we lived kind of far away from each other, and it would be way easier if I just drove to my high school, and then we met there, and then like we would drive in his car because he never wanted to be driven by women. Red flag, but when you look at all the red flags through rose glasses, the flags just look like flags. He's like not texting me back at all. And I leave my house, I come in my car to the school, and I see a bunch of people I know on like the lawn, just like yearbooks, signing yearbooks, you know, yearbook stuff. I hadn't bought a yearbook, so there was no point in me going, because yearbooks were like $60 or like $90, depending on what time of year you got it at. I'm there, and I'm just like in my car in the parking spot, and I'm waiting for him. He's not like texting me back, he's not calling me, he's not telling me like maybe he got sick, maybe he accidentally slept in, so maybe he like forgot his phone. I look around the entire parking lot, can't find his car, he's not there, and so I finally, after waiting there for 2 hours and texting him like 12 times, I really hate like doing that, because it makes me feel like I'm a crazy lady who texts guys over and over again. But I really did like wait like a few minutes, and we were supposed to meet up, so it wasn't like it was unjustified texting and calling. I'm not like a one who does that, you know. Oh, we're gonna miss the movie. And I waited until probably the movie would have ended for him to show up, because I'm like, oh, maybe we could get lunch after. So finally, I call my friend who was also friends with him. They were like best buds at the time. And I'm like, hey, what do I call him? That guy here? He's like, oh, no, he didn't show up for school today. I'm like, oh, really? Like, he was supposed to meet me for this thing, but apparently he's not here. So I go home, and I'm bawling my eyes out while driving, and I have to pull over and cry. I pull into this little kids park, and I'm just like crying my eyes out. And I even called a bunch of my friends, because it was the day before graduation, guys. My whole family was at my house, and they were waiting for me to come back so we could go like talk about this guy that I liked, and like how the date went, and all this stuff. Like, oh, my grandma wants to know about this guy we went on a date with. You know, like grandmas do things like that. But no, I was a mess and I needed a friend. All my friends were busy though, doing the graduation stuff, which is perfectly acceptable. But I had to do that walk of shame from my car to my house to tell my family what had happened. My mom's like, he's a dick, you don't need that. My family's like, you don't need him. I'm like, what if something happened? Is he in the hospital? Like, is he sick? Is he dead? All the things my head said that day. But no. So we were supposed to meet at I think it was 8 a.m. And he texts me finally back. He texts me back at 6 p.m. And he's like, I never said it was a date. All he said was, I never said it was a date, period. You never said it was a date, but you asked me to go to the movies with you. And I said I would meet you there, and I paid for gas to go to the school so we could go to the movies. But no, he's like, I never said it was a date. And cool, maybe he just wanted to hang out. But you don't do that to a friend, especially when you know that friend likes you, because I'd already told him I liked him. And he seemed fine with it. He seemed like he was super psyched that I liked him, too. But I did win this one in 2 ways, because my friend, she was having this party and I couldn't come, and I told her what had happened, and all the people at the party hated his guts too. So did my friend, and they hated his guts so much they went to his house and they stuck plastic forks in it. Yeah. And then a few months later, when I was in France, I was kind of bored and feeling a bit revengeful. So I downloaded this app called Text Free. It's like an app on your phone. Oh, sponsored by Text Free. No, not really, I wish. So you get a fake number so you can text people, and it doesn't use cell towers. It goes by internet. So I could do it in France when I didn't have the cell reception stuff on my phone. And so I find his number, and it's a fake number. It's not my number, so it won't say my name on the phone when he gets it or anything like that. So I'm like, hey, guy, it's Mom. Can you stop by the store on your way home from work and get some eggs? We are in urgent need of eggs. And he's like, is this, and then he says his mom's name. And I say, yes, it is. I don't have my phone right now, so I'm using your dad's phone. And he's like, why do we need eggs? I'm like, I'm making you a cake. I'm so funny, just kidding. So he's like, okay. He bought the eggs. He bought the eggs because I pranked him. Because he's a jerk. Because he set me up. Oh, yeah. Feels good. Feels really good. Feels so good.